They recommend to us which beneficiary to disqualify, which beneficiary should receive. Okay, there are certain type of trust under discretionary trust. And who should this person be? When the client's alive, he will be the protector. When he's dead and gone, most of the time, client will choose the spouse. Unless the client don't trust the spouse, then this will be somebody else. Okay? And then the guardian of the children that you appoint in the will, if the both spouses not around, who will be the guardian of the children? And thirdly, probably some close friend or relative. Now, why have the insurance trust? This is where I highlight the limitation of the insurance nomination. Now, insurance nomination, if you buy insurance at the time, the insurance company or insurance agent encourage you to nominate. But the insurance law has been changed since 1996. Only selected people that you nominate get the money absolutely as beneficiary. Other people you nominate don't get it as beneficiary. They just nominee only. The people who can get it as beneficiary are spouse, legitimate spouse, that means you marry proper one, not your Chinese girlfriend and all that. Parents, parents not yet. Spouse, child. The child can be illegitimate child, doesn't matter, or adopted child, doesn't matter, still get. Parents. Now, parents is a bit special. Parents, if you, at the time of putting your parents' name in the nomination form, you're not married, you don't have a child. Obviously, that child will be illegitimate to some extent. So you must not have a child, must not be married. Then you can put your parents' name. Okay? And then upon death, even though at point of death you've got half dozen children and a wife, your parents will still get that money absolutely. Because at the time of naming them, there was no spouse, no child. Okay? But after marrying, you go and change the nomination, go and put in, I want to put in my wife's name also to share with my mother. Your mother will not get it absolutely now. Your wife will get the half, your mother's portion will go under your estate, the deceased estate, to follow his will or his distribution act. Who gets it? Okay, so parents, take note, you want the parents to get, once you have nominated them, try not to disturb the nomination, especially when you nominated them before you get married. Another way is to do a double thing. Parents and then spouse, let's say, in your will, put down also to confirm that your parents is to get half of the insurance money, okay, that you have nominated to her, so that if the nomination, her portion, her half, go under your will confirms that she's supposed to get that half anyway. Alright, so your mother will get from that will the particular half of the insurance money. Now, so other people that you give, your brother, your sister, your nephew, niece, not beneficiary. They are just going to be nominee, receiving the money, passing that money to your estate. That's it. Alright, so they don't enjoy the benefit. Alright. Now, so with a trust, with an insurance trust, you're not limited by this. You can name anybody to be that beneficiary. One of the things that we use this is where this client tells us, I've got 2 families. Okay, obviously one legal, one non-legal. But the legal one don't know that I've got an illegal one. The illegal one thinks that she's the only one. Okay, and he says, when I die, I still want this structure to maintain. Okay, they shouldn't know each other exactly. So, okay, will there you write, you give to your first wife law. Your second one, the illegal one, buy the insurance, buy a big chunk, put in the insurance trust. Name her and the children as your beneficiary in the trust. So when you die, because your will never mentioned the second one, so she won't get involved. Your wife wouldn't know that you got second one. Okay, your insurance money, because it's kept by us, your wife also don't know you got this insurance at the end of the day. So you keep it separate.
When he dies, who should you notify? Which family?
If it's the trust notifying the girlfriend, we will notify the girlfriend. We call for separate meeting with the girlfriend. You got this money, okay? If the will and the separate meeting,
the funeral will attend. Funeral who will attend?
That one I don't know. That one you pandai-pandai.
If that's the case,
funeral.
The client will say, okay, separate company. I mean, just to don't have clashes.
Doesn't matter. Like you say, the funeral still got bro. Right? Okay. My other worry is separate company. Suddenly that other company called the wife and asked, do you know who is this person by the way? They have an issue there. Okay. Now then you have, with insurance trust, you can name substitute beneficiary. If this person not around, who's going to be the next and the next person? With nomination, you can't. It's always one level. It's either you name one person or 2 or 3 person join together. Right? So you've got limitation there. The other thing is, insurance pay out one lump sum. The trust, you can state down your terms and conditions. How often to pay, how regular. Need not be one lump sum. If it's one lump sum, I will tell the client, no need to do this trust, just go and do nomination. It's not more cheaper for you because you don't end up paying me fees. Alright, okay? And special instruction, any special instruction for us to pay out that need to be fulfilled before the payment is out. For nomination, you can't add on such special instructions. Okay? Because some clients don't want the children to receive an age scheme. They will say, children, my child only receive when he's 35 years old. Okay? Before he reaches 35, use certain amount of money to use for his education and medical needs. Maintenance, he pay himself. Whereas insurance, if you nominate, the moment he turns 18, he gets it. Alright, so it's a bit different. The type of policy, you can put this type of policy in there, into the trust. Again, we don't encourage things like endowment or those regular payout from the insurance policy one. That you pay a certain number of years, then every year you get money one. Those type we don't encourage. Okay. The common uses. This is one of the main things that we tell clients because as the will writing awareness is getting more and more these days, we tell clients is when you have young kids, it's not enough just for you to write a will. Or if you are the only child, you're the only child of the family, every month you give money to your parents. But you're worried that the moment you die, who's going to give money to my parents? Because they're old, there's no other sibling, I'm the only child. Okay, so when we do it with term life, let's do a trust beside you write your will to give assets to your parents or give assets to your wife and children. Let's do a trust. The purpose of the trust is to prevent all this waiting time. Sorry about this. Now, even if you have a will, when the person dies, that will needs to go through a process in court to obtain what we call the grant of probate. To get the grant of probate, it takes you, let's say, 6 months these days. That's just the court order. From here to distribution, that will take another time period, another longer time, which we don't know, because it all depends on whether this client did tax filing proper during his lifetime or not for his personal tax. Very messy one, I got some clients. Some clients, the moment he dies, we go and submit to Inland Revenue, ask for tax clearance before we distribute, they may owe you anything. Then they'll tell us, can you please submit the previous year from year 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, uncurrent. So to get the information to fill all these forms, that takes a long time. Alright? Okay? And then there are cases also where Inland Revenue beginning to sue the estate already for non-payment. Then we have to find assets. Okay, which asset to sell, have to bargain with Inland Revenue. And they don't take action yet. We're in the midst of finding a buyer to sell off the piece of land to pay you the X amount. Because we've got one case where the dead man owes $500,000 to Inland Revenue, 525 million. That's what 525,000. Luckily he's got about 20 pieces of land. Those agricultural one. But Inland Revenue been chasing because the Inland Revenue division was up north. We found out that if they managed to recover the 525,000, their KPI would have been reached for that. So what you do is, because knowing that, then we say, hey, you gotta help us out, wait for time now. You cannot rush us because there's no asset except these pieces of land. So they were quite accommodating to finally be sold off that piece of land, pay them off. They were quite happy. For reaching that KPI they're supposed to get. Right? So it can cause delay. Of course, at the end of the day, who is suffering because of this delay? Beneficiaries are. Then you expect to get inheritance within 1-2 years. Because your father or your mother left behind a lot of what we call rubbish, in terms of to be cleared out, including debts to creditors and whatnot, this will take a long time. Okay, it will take a long time to get sorted out. So we tell clients, if your beneficiaries are young children and your spouse is not the main income earner, where is she going to find money to feed your kids? If this thing is going to get delayed between 1 to 2 years even, let's say. If it's longer, lagi worse, she has to work, find another job, you know. If she wasn't working, now she has to go out and work. And that maybe not be enough, she has to find another part-time work Saturday, Sunday, just to make ends meet for the family. So why not create an insurance trust? That insurance trust got the advantage of avoiding probate. No need to go through that long process. That interest money can be used to go and pay off to the beneficiary. What can it be used for? All these things. For education, living expenses, service some of your loans that is existing, like house loan, car loan, credit card. Okay? Pay the estate administration or whatever cost of administration of the estate, because what happens is you will have, let's say you appoint my company, we have a certain fee that we charge. Even if you don't appoint my company, you've got the lawyer's fees, the cukai tanah, cukai pintu, this and that, electricity bill to pay. Alright, so having this insurance money pays for all this. Okay, the wife has got less worry, can consider looking after the kids. Now, this amount of money will only last you, let's say you buy maybe 200,000. It probably lasts you 2 years, 2 years or 3 years. So that 2-3 years should be enough to have the estate being distributed. Should have. If you already know that you'll be paying taxes proper, then it shouldn't be a problem. If you know you haven't been paying taxes proper and your businessman always lari one, the submission all inaccurate one, you better buy more, because the clearance for income tax will take some time. Right? Maybe $1 million or so. You'll drag on for ages of time. Now, what happens is, now you could be thinking, this insurance trust, why not I just do a nomination to my wife and then be done with it, no need to do this trust, because she can use that money to do all this one. Problem with it is that, two things. I can give her the whole bunch of money, or you can nominate, give it to her, she collects that from the insurer, deposit it into a bank account, okay, come out from the bank, get banged by a bus, die. So instead of the money stuck in the husband's estate, now it's stuck in her estate. So in terms of the problem, children still not getting money. Right? So it's not a good thing. So usually we tell clients, I'm not saying that you can give anything to your wife. That entire lump sum, what you can do, you can split it up. Maybe 50 reserved for the kids, 50 give lump sum to your wife to enjoy lah. Okay? Okay, so what happens is that in case something happens to her, you still got 50% of the money for your kids to tahan for some time. As opposed to the entire amount, give it to your wife, it's going to be stuck in her estate, or if she's young and pretty, there'll be some buaya, alright, she's taking her out of the money, happens, you know. Even though not pretty, also got buaya sometimes and see a lot of money. That's the reality now, I can tell you. We have seen too many of this kind of thing. Right? Or your relative will come and ask for money already, knowing that you are rich, you receive this interest money. And then sometimes you kesian if you're very soft-hearted, you end up lending, giving them money, not able to recover. And then you want to say, bank account left very little for your kids. So the structure for the trust, usually we say, client in your life, you benefit during your lifetime. That means you can use it for your illness, for your, if you want to take up money for your cash value for your own usage, you also can. And then upon that, whatever balance in the insurance, we can give it to your wife and your children, and then follow the long distribution instructions. If you have your second family, I mentioned this now already, you know what to do and all that, so I skip this. This one doesn't normally happen to a client go to China. Most of them. Most of my clients are every time go to China, show got second one, third one. Okay, so they don't do some planning. Most of the time.
Good clients, right?
Huh?
Good clients.
Yes. I like those clients. Not necessarily moral, but good for business. Right? Or your client got special child. The special child, then it's good to look at using this trust to provide for the special child. Because parents alive, you can take care. The moment you're not around, you now rely on other relatives to take care of the child. So having that interest money and tailoring the trust to pay out money to the child regularly for his expenses and all that helps maintain that child. So we work it out in the sense that we look at this free time. We sort of like look at it at, say, how much do you need in terms of the child. Let's look at, for example, this child is currently studying, let's say, how much you require every year to pay for his education. Let's say 5K lah. Okay. Is there any special equipment? If there's not, fine. Living expenses, more or less how much? Medical, how much? Guardian allowance, how much? Because you could be appointing a guardian to take care of your child in the event both parent and child are around. Okay. And we always look at this angle as if after the client do this trust today, tomorrow you kena langgar mati. So that we'll say that, okay, from tomorrow onwards, if you haven't died, how many more years tendency your child will live? Okay, if a child with this kind of disability maybe have got a lifespan of 70 or 60 or whatever, then we try to work out the cost that is required. So let's say for this client, estimated 47,000. How much is set aside? Let's say the child may live for another 30 years. You take an average of 30,000, let's say, instead of 47. So you end up with this, 900,000. Something that you need to prepare. Okay, something that the client need to be aware. Question is money.
Die also must write die rich.
What to do? Still like Danny, you want to get fancy berry with the chick, right? So it's like that. This 900,000 before the case for that particular special child. So structure again, your lifetime you get to enjoy it. But when you're not around, your child enjoy it. In the event your child pass on, then other children will get it. If there's other substitute children, other children to increase it. And also if there's any balance involved in the trust. And then the other one that we do is cancellation. This, to some extent, tied with the buy-sell earlier, because if most of the time the clients that we do the buy-sell, they are already guarantors of company loans and all that. So we say that the moment one of you kick the bucket, you sell your share to the other guys. What happens is that you are dead and gone, but your guaranteeship is still around. Your estate will be distributed over a period of time, maybe within 2 years. All your assets will be distributed. The company is now operated by the remaining 2 shareholders. Okay, they continue to pay the loan, but come to a time where the loan can't be paid, they go after the guarantor. Okay, so if you happen to be the guarantor as well, what will happen is that if your estate gets distributed, of course they can't claim anywhere, right? But if yet to be distributed, part of your personal assets will be subject to that claim by the bank. Okay, so we say, why not, when one shareholder passes away, part of the money will be used to settle or reduce the loan amount, or cancel the entire loan amount, depending on how much loan that's taken. So the clients, when they get this plan, they actually got 2 insurance policies. One is to fund the buy and sell arrangement, another one for this purpose. At the end of the day. Okay? Of course, it all depends on their budget that's involved. There are 2 ways to do it. The simplest way for that cancellation will tell client, do a key man insurance. Go and buy a key man insurance, means the company buy on the life of the shareholders, instead of they buy themselves now. Company buy on the life of the shareholders, directors. Then when one of them kicks the bucket, the company gets this money. The company can use this money, reduce down the loan. Okay? Of course, the worry for the other guy who died is that, how will I know these 2 guys will use this money pay off the loan? Suddenly they go buy new Mercedes-Benz, alright, new Mercedes-Benz, the latest one, and then don't care so much about the company loan. Then my liability is still there, because my estate yet to be distributed. Then my personal assets will be jeopardized. So if you don't trust your client, you don't trust your partner, what we can do is we can create a trust on the key man insurance, so that when the money is received by the trustee, we will now use this money, pay directly to the bank. So so that it doesn't go through the company, but the company have to account for it and say it's either income or capital depending on the type of policy that they buy, and whether usually it's more than 5% anyway. So it's definitely going to be, if you pay premium, it's non-deductible, the sum assured will be capital. So companies still have to account for it as capital, but the money doesn't go through the company's hands, it goes to the trustees immediately and then we pay it off to the creditors. So that to make sure that the money is paid to the creditors. If there's any balance, then only it goes back to the company. So a trust can help to make sure that the money is being used to pay off the creditors, rather than directors being used to buy new gadgets for themselves. Okay. Of course, Keyman will involve all the taxation issues there. Some clients say that can we avoid the taxation issues? I say can, but there's a roundabout solution which we use insurance coupled with a trust, then later a rights issue method. So meaning that the policy is transferred to the trustee gets it. One of the trust terms will say, one of us kicked the bucket, trustee use this money, get the other two shareholders to agree to have a rights issue thingy, get the company to do so. Once the rights issue come in, use this money, pay for the rights issue, the new shares registered in the name of the shareholders. Then once the company receives these funds, it's up to the company what he wants to do. Which at the end of the day is still subject to the other two remaining shareholders whether they will misuse it or not. Okay? This one, there will be tax saving because you buy policy in your own name rather than in the name of the company. So your 6% service tax no longer there. The premium you end up paying yourself by way of deduction from a director's fee. Okay? Again, there will not be an issue of 25%, but if it's director fee, personally you cannot tax a bit more. If let's say the company is paying you more director fee just to accommodate for this additional payout that you're going to make. That's all, Right? I personally would prefer this because it's simpler and shorter to explain to the client. Okay? Because then if you put in a trust there, it's easier to manage the money. Then it goes to the creditors. This one, by way of rights issue, company gets the funds. Then it's up to the company what he wants to do with that money. Okay, that ends my presentation. Right. Do you have any questions, or we'll probably wait until Brenda's session? Would that be good? Alright. So that doesn't take too long. Okay. You want to start now, or is there a tea break? 5 minutes. Okay.